welcome to How To For You. Today I'm going to show you how to get rid of those pesky, annoying gnats that are in your plants that look kind of like this. So if you've ever seen those gnats, know that they are the reason for having a lot of moisture in your plant. And you're gonna need to get rid of them in a few ways. Now, I would say there's some ways that work and some that don't, but trying as many different ways as possible to get rid of these gnats is gonna be the best. So I'm gonna show you how to do that right now, and you're gonna wanna follow these steps in order to get it done. So the first method that you're gonna wanna try is this sort of trap here. Now, it consists of a few ingredients. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna take a jar that you can mix this in, and you're gonna want to get some sugar. You are going to want to get some dish soap and some apple cider vinegar. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna mix just a little bit of each, maybe like a couple tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar, dish soap, and the sugar, mix it in a jar. And what I did is I shook it up. Now it's still bubbly, but you wanna mix it up, and what you're then gonna wanna do, take this plastic wrap here, you'll put it over your mixture, and you'll get a rubber band, put that over that. And then you're just gonna get something like a chopstick and just poke holes. Maybe just one right there, one right there, one right there, and there. Again, they don't wanna be big because the idea is that the gnats will fly into here, they'll get into that mixture, and then they won't be able to escape. So what you're gonna do is this is gonna be your first step, but you're gonna mix that up, put that next to the plant, and now I'm gonna show you the other one that you're gonna try. So the next thing you're gonna actually wanna try is you're going to take some cinnamon here, and you're gonna sprinkle that all around your plant's top soil, and this will help prevent the fungus gnats from growing. So check this out. You'll just take some here. You'll add that to the top layer. And so that'll be your second step. So the last and final step that I would highly recommend, and this is going to be the best one, is to use Mosquito Bits. So essentially what this is this is a bacteria, and it basically kills the insects. It kills the fungus gnats. It also works on mosquitoes, but for this purpose, what we're going to want to do is we're going to get 4 things. We're going to go with the Mosquito Bits, and for every gallon of water, you want to put 2 tablespoons in, but you're going to want to put a bunch in these mesh bags here. Then you're gonna take the Mosquito Bits and put hot water in a watering can. Let this soak in there for about 20 minutes, and then you're gonna water your plants. Now you can water it from the top, and you should water it from the bottom. So to do it for the bottom, you're gonna go with some of these plastic containers so that it can soak from the bottom. And that way it's good to have it on the top of the bottom to help prevent that. And again, this is better from just taking out the Mosquito Bits, putting it on top, because these can actually mold and decay. So making that kind of brew is basically like a poison that you put on your plant, and it won't harm the plant, but it'll harm the fungus gnats and any sort of insects. So I'll show you how to do that right now. Okay, so I've got my hot water in my watering can, and now I'm just gonna take these mesh bags here, and I'm gonna go more heavy than small here, and that's probably a pretty good amount, I would say. So more than 2 tablespoons, and I'm gonna zip that up, and I'm just gonna shove that here in the bag and let it basically steep for minimum of 20 minutes. So I'm gonna let that soak, and we'll come back in 20 minutes and then pour this on our plants. All right, so it's been about 30 minutes. I've let this Mosquito Bits tea steep, and now we're just gonna pour it on our plant. So I'm just gonna go on the top here and give it a nice mixture. Let that soak, and then I'm gonna pour some on the bottom too. And I'm just gonna make sure that as I'm pouring it, I'm just letting it soak so that it can soak from the bottom. And then what I'll do is I'll make sure after to let that dry, because again, we just don't want to have a moisture. Moisture is what's actually attracting it, but this is basically like poison. So I will make sure to take this off and then drain it, and then put the pot back on a dry, clean bottom. And we'll just keep doing this, and we'll see how the results are in maybe a few days and a few weeks, and I'll keep you posted on the status. All right, so it's about a week and a half later, and I'm just gonna continue the process. I've noticed some difference in the gnats, not too much, but I'm just taking this amount, got my hot water again, I'm gonna put it in there and then pour it back on the plant. So let's try it again and check back in later. All right, so it's been about a month and a half since that last filming, and I have not seen any gnats. Now, I did just want to say a few things as I'm showing you kind of what the status of this plant is like. So basically, there's a few things here. First of all is that I wanted to say that the apple cider vinegar and soap trick didn't work for me. Now, I know that some people online will say that it worked for them, but I just personally never saw any bugs at all inside of this jar. Didn't really notice it. But I will say that the Mosquito Bits did actually work. And I think it's kind of a bit tricky on like how you do it. It's the right balance of how things are done. So first of all, you gotta make sure that whatever plant you're working with, you know exactly how much water it needs and how dry it needs to be as well. So with this plant, because this is specifically a Dracaena reflexa, it prefers indirect light and it needs 1 to 2 inches of the soil to dry out before watering. So basically it's just knowing exactly how often to use Mosquito Bits, but this stuff really does work. And I would say that you're just gonna have to play around with all the different methods. I would say try the apple cider vinegar with the dish soap, try the Mosquito Bits, try the cinnamon. I also heard that you can try spraying peppermint oil around the plant, and that might work too, but you're gonna have to try any and all different combinations of things. But ultimately, the best thing is that you don't want to over water the plant. Even when you have Mosquito Bits in there with that water, that's still where those larvae from the fungus grow. So the best option is to put a little bit of the Mosquito Bits from that water into the plant. And then again, this will just slowly absorb into the plant, but it will kill the insects. So hopefully this works for you. It definitely worked for me. And again, just make sure that you give it some time. I haven't seen any fungus gnats come back, so just gotta really keep at it. And I think, again, it's not like a one and done. You kind of have to just try it a few times. Again, make that soaking of the Mosquito Bits, put it in there, do it again, and just repeat that process. But hopefully this makes sense, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.